Before we begin, this series contains mature themes including infidelity, family betrayal, and emotional confrontation. Viewer discretion is advised. Disclaimer: this is a fictional narrative for educational and entertainment purposes. All legal strategies should be discussed with licensed attorneys in your jurisdiction. If you're experiencing similar situations, please seek professional support.
I stood in a courthouse hallway, looking at the police report in my hands, and faced the hardest choice of my life. Dylan had been arrested for violating the restraining order. He'd come to Willow House at 2 a.m., broken a window to get inside, and was found in my father's study going through the desk. The DA was asking if I wanted to press charges. If I said yes, Dylan would face jail time, a criminal record, his life destroyed. If I said no, I'd be sending a message that court orders didn't matter, that there were no real consequences, justice or mercy, accountability or compassion. And I had 24 hours to decide. This is the story of how everything finally ended and what I learned about the difference between being right and being whole. 3 days ago, Judge Morrison ruled in my favor on everything. The postnuptial agreement was upheld. Dylan gets nothing. The eviction was validated. Bethany has 30 days to pay $61,450 or lose her boutique. Restraining orders were issued against both of them. But the war took its toll. I won legally, but I lost my sister, nearly lost my mother, and destroyed the family I thought I had. My father's trust protected me. The evidence I gathered buried them. The judge's ruling vindicated everything I'd fought for. But 3 days after that victory, I got a call from the police. Dylan had violated the restraining order. And suddenly I had to ask myself, when does justice become revenge? When does accountability become cruelty? This is the story of that choice and what happened next. Mrs. Reed? This is Officer Martinez with the police department. We have your ex-husband in custody. He was found on your property earlier this evening. I sat up in bed, my heart pounding. What? A neighbor called it in around 2:15 a.m. Reported seeing someone breaking a window at your residence. We responded and found Dylan Reed inside. He'd broken the window on the back door to gain entry. He was in a home office going through a desk. My father's study. He was still looking for something. Still trying to find a way to challenge the trust. Is he? Did he take anything? I asked. No, ma'am. We arrived before he could. He's being held on breaking and entering charges and violation of a restraining order. The DA will want to know if you wish to press charges. What happens if I do? Breaking and entering is a felony. Combined with the restraining order violation, he's looking at significant jail time. Probably 18 months to 3 years. And if I don't? He'll likely be released with time served and probation. The restraining order violation alone could still be prosecuted, but without your cooperation, it's harder to prove intent. I sat there in the dark, trying to process this. Do I have to decide right now? I asked. You have 24 hours, Officer Martinez said. But, Mrs. Reed? For what it's worth. He was desperate. Looked like he hadn't slept in days. Whatever he was looking for, he was convinced it was his only chance. After we hung up, I sat in bed for an hour, unable to move. Dylan in jail. Dylan with a criminal record. Dylan's life destroyed. Because of choices I could make right now. The next morning, I called Sloan. Press charges, she said immediately. He violated a court order. He broke into your house. These are serious crimes. Let him face the consequences. But he didn't actually take anything, I said. He was just looking. He broke a window. Sloan interrupted. He trespassed. He violated a restraining order issued 3 days ago. Amber, if you don't press charges, you're teaching him that court orders are suggestions. That there are no real consequences. I know, I said. But putting him in jail for 3 years, that feels like revenge, not justice. It's accountability, Sloan said. There's a difference. But I wasn't sure there was. So I called the one person whose judgment I trusted above all others. Elodie. I drove to Elodie's house that afternoon and told her everything. She listened without interrupting, her sharp eyes assessing me the entire time. When I finished, she was quiet for a long moment. What does your gut tell you to do? she asked finally. My gut says to let it go. I admitted. Dylan's already lost everything that matters to him. The house. The marriage. His reputation. Putting him in jail feels like piling on. And what does your head say? My head says he violated a restraining order. That if I don't press charges, I'm sending a message that it's okay to ignore court orders. That there are no consequences. Elodie nodded slowly. Both of those things are true. So the question isn't which one is right. The question is, who do you want to be when this is over? I looked at her, waiting. Your father faced this exact choice 10 years ago, Elodie said. When he caught Bethany stealing, he could have pressed charges. She would have gone to jail. Would have had a criminal record. Her life would have been very different. But he didn't, I said. No, Elodie agreed. He gave her a choice. Pay it back and change, or face prosecution. She chose to pay it back, and he never regretted giving her that opportunity even though she ultimately wasted it. So I should give Dylan a chance? I asked. I'm saying mercy isn't about whether someone deserves it. Elodie said gently. It's about who you want to be. Justice is about making sure people face consequences. Mercy is about recognizing that sometimes the consequence of losing everything is punishment enough. She leaned forward. Dylan has lost his marriage, his home, his reputation, and any claim to your assets. He's desperate and broken. Will jail make him better? Or will it just destroy him completely? I don't know, I said honestly. Then ask yourself this, Elodie said. When you look back on this moment 10 years from now, which choice will let you sleep at night? Which choice reflects the person you want to be? I spent that night thinking about everything Elodie had said. I thought about my father's letter. Trust yourself. You're stronger than you know. I thought about the judge's words. You've handled this with remarkable restraint. I thought about the difference between strength and cruelty, between accountability and revenge, between protecting myself and destroying someone else. At 8 a.m. the next morning, I called the DA's office. I'm not pressing charges, I said. Against Dylan Reed. For the breaking and entering. There was a pause. Are you sure, Mrs. Reed? He violated a restraining order. These are serious. I know, I interrupted. But he didn't take anything. He didn't hurt anyone. He's already lost his home, his marriage, and his dignity. I think that's punishment enough. The restraining order violation is still prosecutable without your cooperation, the assistant DA said. But without your testimony, it'll be harder to prove intent. Then let it be harder, I said. I just want him to leave me alone. If dropping the charges accomplishes that, then that's what I want. Understood, the ADA said. We'll release him with time served and extend the restraining order to 2 years instead of 1. If he violates it again, we prosecute regardless of your wishes. And we're adding a mandatory psychiatric evaluation. That works, I said. After I hung up, I sat in my father's study and wondered if I'd made the right choice. Had I shown mercy? Or had I just been weak? My phone buzzed. A text from Dylan's attorney. My client thanks you for not pursuing charges. He's moving to Portland for a fresh start. You won't hear from him again. Good, I thought. That's all I wanted anyway. Him gone. Out of my life. Unable to hurt me anymore. I didn't need him in jail to accomplish that. 2 days after Dylan's release, my mother called. Bethany can't pay, Mom said without preamble. The $61,000. She doesn't have it. She's going to lose the boutique. I know, I said. Please, Amber. She's 7 months pregnant now. She has nowhere to go. If you evict her... Mom, I interrupted gently. She has choices. She could ask friends for help. She could file for bankruptcy and restructure her debts. She could find a job. She could move in with you. I can't take her in. Mom said quickly. My house is too small, and with the financial strain I'm under. Exactly, I said. Bethany's choices have consequences for everyone around her, including you, including me. I didn't create this situation, she did. But you have the power to fix it, Mom said desperately. You could forgive the debt, let her stay, give her time. I gave her 11 months, I said. 11 months of rent, Free operation while I didn't even know I owned the building. She had time. She chose to spend money on champagne towers and fancy relaunches instead of paying what she owed. There was a long silence. What if? Mom started, then stopped. What if she agreed to pay it back? On a plan. Something she could actually afford. Mom started. Like what? I asked. $500 a month, Mom said. It would take years, but she could do that. And she'd agree to therapy. Real therapy. Weekly sessions. Documented. I sat there, thinking about mercy. About justice. About the difference between destroying someone and holding them accountable. I'll think about it, I said finally. Thank you, Mom said, her voice breaking. Thank you. I agreed to meet with Bethany one last time. We met at a park bench near the waterfront. Public enough to feel safe, private enough to talk honestly. Bethany looked terrible. Pregnancy had not been kind to her. Her face was puffy and pale, her eyes red from crying, her hands shaking as she sat down. For a moment, I saw my little sister again. The one I'd protected. The one I'd loved. Then I remembered the recording. Her voice, cold and calculating. And the moment passed. Thank you for meeting me, Bethany said quietly. I didn't respond. Just waited. I know you have no reason to help me. She continued. I know I've done terrible things. The affair, the lies, the money, all of it. I know I don't deserve your mercy. You're right, I said. You don't. But I'm asking anyway. Bethany said, her voice breaking. Not for me, for the baby. She didn't do anything wrong. She doesn't deserve to be homeless because of my mistakes. Where's Dylan? I asked. The father of your baby? Why isn't he helping you? Bethany looked away. He moved to Portland. He sent me $5,000 and said that was all he could do. He said he needed a fresh start. $5,000. After a year of promises. After planning a future together. After getting her pregnant. He'd abandoned her the moment things got hard. What about Leo? I asked. Did you ever apologize to him? I tried, Bethany said. He has a restraining order against me now. I showed up at the Meridian to explain, and he called the police. I wasn't surprised. Leo had every right to protect himself from her. I'm sorry, Bethany said, tears streaming down her face. For everything. For Dylan. For the money. For 10 years ago. For all of it. I know sorry doesn't fix it, but I don't know what else to say. I looked at her and tried to figure out if this was genuine remorse or just another performance. I honestly couldn't tell. And maybe that was the point. Here's what I'm willing to do, I said finally. One time, one chance, never again. Bethany looked up hopefully. I'll restructure the debt. I said. You owe $61,450. I'll reduce it to the original unpaid rent, $43,000. No interest. No legal fees. You'll pay it back at $500 per month for 7 years. I can do that, Bethany said quickly. I'm not finished, I interrupted. In exchange, you vacate the boutique within 2 weeks. You sign an agreement that you will never contest the Willow Trust, never claim any interest in family properties, and never contact me except through attorneys. And you get mandatory therapy weekly sessions, minimum 1 year, documented and verified. Why therapy? Bethany asked. Because I don't want your daughter to grow up with the same patterns, I said. The lying. The manipulation. The inability to take responsibility. You need help, Bethany. Real help. And that baby deserves a mother who's gotten it. Bethany was quiet for a long moment. And if I don't agree? She asked. Then the sheriff evicts you next week. I said. You owe the full $61,000. I pursue collection. And you face the consequences of the forged loan against Mom's house. Your choice. That's not really a choice, Bethany said. It's more of a choice than you gave me, I replied. More mercy than you showed Leo. More compassion than you demonstrated to anyone you've hurt over the past decade. I stood up. You have 48 hours to decide. Tell Sloan your answer. As I walked away, Bethany called after me. Did you really have to make it so public? At my event? In front of everyone? I stopped and turned back. Yes, I said simply. Because private conversations with you have never led to accountability. You've spent 10 years facing no real consequences because people handled things privately. That had to end. But you destroyed me, Bethany said. No, I said. I just stopped protecting you from the consequences of your own choices. There's a difference. And I walked away. 47 hours later, Sloane called. Bethany accepted the settlement, she said. All terms. She signed everything. I felt a complicated mix of emotions I couldn't name. Relief. Disappointment. Guilt. Victory. She starts therapy next week. Sloane continued, and she's already looking at affordable housing. A friend offered her a room until the baby's born. Good, I said. Amber. Sloane said carefully. You did the right thing. You held her accountable but gave her a path forward. That's more than most people would do. Is it enough? I asked. I don't know, Sloane admitted. But it's what you could live with. And that's what matters. 3 months after the settlement, the boutique space looked nothing like Bethany's vision. I stood at the entrance of Willow Collective on opening day, watching women arrive for the soft launch. The white drapes were gone. The pretentious decor demolished. In their place, clean lines, warm lighting, functional workspace. A sign above the door read, Willow Collective Women Supporting Women. A co-working space and incubator for women-owned businesses. Low-cost memberships, mentorship programs. Legal resources for women navigating divorce, financial abuse, family trauma. I'd turned Bethany's temple of vanity into something that actually helped people. Elodie stood beside me at the soft opening, her arm linked through mine. Your father would be so proud, she said. Would he? I asked. I gave Bethany mercy. But I also took everything from her. You gave her accountability. Elodie corrected. You gave her consequences with a path forward. That's exactly what he would have wanted. Elodie corrected. Leo showed up that evening. His band had just finished a regional tour, and he looked healthier, happier, at peace. I heard what you did, he said. The settlement with Bethany, giving her a payment plan instead of destroying her completely. Did I do the right thing? I asked. I don't know. Leo admitted. Part of me wanted her to lose everything. But another part of me thinks, maybe she'll actually change now. Maybe facing real consequences, but with a chance to make it right, maybe that's what she needed. I hope so, I said. For her daughter's sake. Me too, Leo said. 6 months after the settlement, my mother and I sat at a cafe downtown. It was our 4th monthly coffee date. Still awkward. Still painful, but something. Bethany had the baby, Mom said, stirring her coffee nervously. A girl. She named her Elodie. I felt tears prick my eyes. How is she? Struggling, Mom admitted. But trying. She's in therapy twice a week now. She's working part-time at a bookstore. She's making her payments to you on time. And she's actually being a good mother. Surprisingly good. I'm glad, I said. And I meant it. Can I show you a picture? Mom asked hesitantly. I nodded. Mom pulled out her phone. The baby was beautiful. Dark hair like Bethany's. Dylan's eyes. Tiny and perfect and innocent. She didn't deserve any of this, I said quietly. No, Mom agreed. But maybe she'll grow up with a mother who's learned from her mistakes. That's more than Bethany had. We sat in silence for a moment. I'm in therapy too, Mom said finally. Twice a week. Trying to understand why I enabled her for so long. Why I couldn't see what your father saw. That's good, Mom, I said. I don't know if we'll ever be what we were, Mom said. But I'd like to try, if you're willing. I'm willing, I said. It'll take time. But I'm willing. 3 years after everything ended, I received a letter. It arrived on a Tuesday. No return address, but I recognized the handwriting immediately. I sat at my father's desk and opened it with trembling hands. Amber. I finished the payments today. 7 years. $43,000. Done. My therapist suggested I write this. Not to ask for anything I know better now, but to tell you that I finally understand what you were doing. It took me a long time. Longer than it should have. I spent the first year angry, convinced you were cruel. The second year making excuses. Only in year 3 did I start to actually see the patterns. The theft. The lies. The way I always found someone else to blame. Dad saw it. You saw it. Everyone saw it except me. Elodie is 3 now. She asks about you sometimes. Mom shows her pictures. I tell her you're her aunt, but we don't talk anymore. I don't tell her why. Maybe someday I will. Maybe I'll show her this letter and let her decide what she thinks. I don't know if I'm better. I still mess up. I still have bad days. But I'm trying. And that's more than I was doing before. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. I'm just telling you. You were right. And I was wrong. For a long time. Maybe that's enough. B. I read the letter 3 times. The first time, I cried. The second time, I felt anger at how long it took. The third time, I just felt tired. I folded it and placed it in my father's desk, next to his letter to me. 2 letters. 2 different kinds of love. I didn't respond. Part of me wanted to. Part of me wanted to believe in the version of Bethany this letter suggested might exist. But I'd believed before. And been wrong. Maybe in another year, I'd write back. Maybe I'd let Mom bring Elodie to meet me. Maybe. Or maybe this letter was enough. Proof that accountability can create space for change even if reconciliation never comes. Not always. Not easily. But sometimes. And for now, that had to be enough. I sat in my father's chair one last time and pulled out his letter. Trust yourself. You're stronger than you know. He'd been right about everything. The trust he'd built protected me. The boundaries I'd set saved me. The fortress he'd given me became the foundation for a new life. So, did I go too far? I've asked myself that question 1,000 times. I exposed my sister's lies in front of 50 people. I served her with eviction papers at her own event. I played a recording of her planning fraud. I took her to court. Some people think I'm a hero. A woman who stood up for herself and refused to be destroyed. Others think I'm a villain. A vindictive ex-wife who weaponized the legal system for revenge. The truth? I'm neither. I'm just someone who learned the difference between justice and revenge. Between accountability and cruelty. Between protecting yourself and destroying others. Revenge would have been pressing criminal charges against Dylan and watching him go to jail. Justice was recognizing that losing everything he valued was punishment enough. Revenge would have been evicting Bethany while she was pregnant and pursuing her for the full $61,000 she could never pay. Justice was giving her a payment plan and mandatory therapy consequences with a path forward. Revenge would have felt good in the moment. Justice was harder. It required restraint. Wisdom. The willingness to be called cruel by people who didn't understand the difference. But here's what I learned. Your silence protects the people who hurt you. Your voice protects the people who come after you. If I'd stayed silent, Bethany would have stolen my house. Leo would have raised a child that wasn't his. My mother would have lost everything to fund Bethany's lies. And the pattern would have continued. By speaking up, by fighting back, I didn't just save myself. I saved them too, even if they'll never see it that way. Today, Willow Collective helps dozens of women every year rebuild after betrayal. Leo's band tours nationally. He dedicated an album to the truth tellers and thanked me in the liner notes. My mother and I have coffee twice a month. Our relationship will never be what it was, but it's honest now. Real. Dylan moved to Portland. I heard through mutual friends that he remarried. I hope he treats her better than he treated me. And me? I'm still here. In Willow House. In the home my father protected for me. Stronger. Wiser. At peace. Did I go too far? No. I went exactly far enough. Because I learned the most important lesson of all. Justice without cruelty. Accountability without revenge. Strength without becoming what they are. That's not going too far. That's going exactly far enough. And I'd do it all again. If you're facing betrayal right now, if you're wondering whether to stay silent or speak up, whether to forgive or fight back, here's what I want you to know. You are not responsible for other people's choices. You are only responsible for your own. You cannot save people who don't want to be saved. You can only save yourself. And sometimes, the most loving thing you can do is set a boundary and enforce it, even when everyone calls you cruel for doing so. The people who tell you to take the high road are usually the ones benefiting from your silence. The people who call you vindictive for setting boundaries are usually the ones who violated them. The people who demand you show mercy are usually the ones who showed you none. Choose accountability. Choose boundaries. Choose yourself. You didn't go too far. You went exactly far enough. Thank you for listening to all 8 episodes of this story, for staying with me through the discovery, the investigation, the confrontation, the courtroom, and finally, the choice between justice and mercy. This wasn't an easy story to tell, and I know it wasn't always easy to listen to. There were moments that were uncomfortable, moments that were painful, moments where you might have disagreed with my choices. And that's okay. That's what makes this story real. 3 years after everything ended, I still don't have all the answers. I still wonder sometimes if I could have done things differently. If there was a path I didn't see that might have hurt fewer people. But I also know this. Staying silent would have hurt more people in the long run. It would have taught Bethany that there are no consequences. It would have left Leo raising a child that wasn't his. It would have cost my mother her house. It would have destroyed me. So no, I don't think I went too far. I think I went exactly far enough. If this story resonated with you, if it helped you in some way, I'd be grateful if you'd share it. Not for me, but for someone else who might be sitting where I was. Someone who's wondering if they have the right to defend themselves. Someone who's being told to stay quiet, to forgive without accountability, to absorb other people's cruelty to keep the peace. That person needs to hear that it's okay to fight back. That setting boundaries isn't cruelty. That your silence protects the people who hurt you, and your voice protects the people who come after you. And if you have your own story, if you've had to make similar choices about boundaries and accountability, I'd love to hear it. Leave a comment. Not because I need validation, but because these stories need to be told. They need to be heard. They need to remind us that we're not alone in these impossible situations. This is where the story ends. But I hope the lessons continue. I hope you remember. You are not responsible for other people's choices. You are only responsible for your own. I hope you remember. Justice without cruelty. Accountability without revenge. Strength without becoming what they are. And I hope you remember. You didn't go too far. You went exactly far enough. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Thank you for caring about this story. And if you're facing something similar right now, you're stronger than you know. Trust yourself.